So this is my 1983 Yamaha YTM 200K, and this is my 1985 Yamaha YTM 200E. So you asked for some more three-wheeler content, and I love three-wheelers, so we'll definitely be getting some more of that out. I've showed you these two already. They both run very nice. Now the Yamaha Trimoto 200K is chain-driven. It has no reverse, no electric start. This 200E has electric start. It also has reverse, but neither one of these have rear suspension. They only have front suspension. If you're looking to work these things at all, the 200E is the way to go. It's got a lot more front end weight for some reason. They don't look too much different. That 200E is a lot more stable. If you're looking to play around on them, pull wheelies, the Trimoto 200K chain driven, that's the easiest thing to pull wheelies on. It's a blast to drive. Now, these both have the 196cc 4-stroke engine in them. Great runners. Now over here I have a 1983 Yamaha 225DX. Things are shaft driven, electric start, and they have rear suspension. I've had a couple of these 225s in the past and they're a blast to drive. One of my favorites actually. Also make a Yamaha 225DR, which is the same as this, but it has reverse. I picked this thing up pretty cheap in Berlin, New Hampshire. I honestly don't remember how much I paid for it. It was pretty cheap. It was around $100 to $200, I believe. When I first bought this thing, I went ahead and tried to start it. It didn't come with a carburetor, so I stole the carburetor off the 200 Trimoto, put it on here, and this thing fired up. Oh, did it smoke like heck. It smoked very bad. This thing hasn't been run in like 5 years. Just never got around to fixing it. Then when I got the Yamaha 200E over there, that one needed a stator. So I stole the stator off this one. This one further turned into parts. However, I might have found a deal on a motor. So my brother's got a Yamaha Timberwolf 250. And those Timberwolves are the same engine. They're not much bigger. They're still 220-something cc, I believe. But that Timberwolf has reverse, 5-speed. It'll bolt right up to this from what I understand. So I'm going to try to buy that from him. That wheeler's got a bad rear end he's got. So that engine will make a good donor for this thing. Here she is, guys. 1992 Yamaha Timberwolf 250. Let's see if we can get it home with the 200E. Got her all hooked up. Let's see if we can make it back up the hill to my place. I know it would work. Made it up here. That little Yamaha 200E did pretty good. Now, I picked this thing up for a pretty good deal. I only paid, I probably got like 250 bucks invested into it. So I ended up giving $150 and an old Husqvarna chainsaw that was worth, I'm saying 100, and we got 250 bucks in this. That motor is going to work great in my Yamaha 225DX. Turn the choke out. There she goes. It does have a little valve clatter, but I think we can just, I'm hoping we can just tighten them up and we'll be good to go. You know, this old Timberwolf is probably worth fixing. It really only needs the rear end fixed. We got the old one right here. As you can see, the pinion bearings toast, the pinion gears worn. So it needs a couple $100 worth of parts to put this back together. But for me, I'm going to have way more fun with that engine in my Yamaha 225DX 3-wheeler. I've had a couple of these Timberwolves, Bear Trackers. They're the same thing pretty much. Very few differences. The seat's a little bit different. And as my brother learned, the Bear Tracker actually has a different rear differential and swing arm. One thing good about this Timberwolf, the wiring will plug right into my 225DX. You jump up into the newer Bear Trackers and the wiring's a little bit different. So that's a plus for me. Alright, before we go ahead and pull the engine on this, we're going to check the valve clearance. And while we're at it, we're going to go ahead and change the oil in this old girl. You may be able to adjust the valves without pulling the tank, but I find it's way easier. Just to remove that, it's only a few bolts, and then you can get right to the valve covers. Now that we get the valve covers off, we want to make sure we find top dead center on this, but when we do the valve adjusting, we want to make sure the engine is nice and cold. So we're going to rotate the engine counterclockwise until you see the intake valve drop down and open up. There she is. She's open. Now you keep going counterclockwise, and now she's closed. And now we're on compression stroke. We need to find top dead center. You look in this hole, and you're going to find a T. It's pretty bright out right now, but I think you can see that T in there. Alright, so the intake should be around 2 to 4 thousandths. Oh, wow. That is probably closer to 20 to 30 thousandths out. I went ahead and adjusted it to about 3 thousandths of an inch, 0.003. So the 4 thousandths barely goes in. It doesn't pass through. So the exhaust valve should be within 4 to 6 thousandths of an inch. And right there, 5 thousandths is perfect. Let's go ahead and button this all back up and then put some oil in it and we'll try her out. After seeing how loose that intake valve was on that thing, I'm pretty sure it's going to sound pretty good when we fire it up. Alright. Sounds much better. Time to throw her in. A little more research on both these engines. The Timberwolf has a 229cc engine and the 225DX has a 223cc engine, so there's not much difference. However, that 225 does have a little bit more compression than this Timberwolf. That's 8.8 to 1. This is 8.7 to 1. We could probably bump this up eventually, but I'm going to try it in that for now, see what we get. Now, I know some of you think I should fix this Timberwolf. However, I prefer the three-wheelers, but it needs a rear end, which is no big deal. But if you look at this, it does have a little bit soft frame here. Not bad. Definitely could be patched because the rest of it's pretty solid. Beautiful. Alright, looks like the engine's got to come out on the left side here, so go ahead. Not too bad. I almost thought we had to pull the swing arm, but I guess not. Now we're going to do the same thing to the three-wheeler. Just got these engines side by side to compare, and man, they don't look much different. Of course, I just said that. Now I found my first issue. So this is the drive shaft out of the Timberwolf. It's a lot bigger than the one on the 225DX. So I'm going to have to swap this yoke out with this one. It's going to be easy to... Alright, I don't know what else I'm going to run into on this project here, but so far I know the yoke has to be used out of the 225DX. The Timberwolf head pipe, as you can see, the 225DX is way smaller. But I actually didn't realize there's no wiring on this thing. I must have stole it for something else. I'll use the wiring out of the Timberwolf for now. Well, that is certainly a start. The motor's in there, it runs, drives. I have reverse, that's pretty cool. I'm missing the bolt for my forks, but it also needs some bearings pretty bad. Looks like the last time this thing was registered was 1989 in Maine. I probably haven't drove a Yamaha 225DX in probably 15, 20 years. Definitely gotta order bearings. Pretty sure I have a seat for this, but I gotta go find it. I don't have the air box hooked up right now. I need a rear grab bar. Just a lot of little stuff here and there. So this is my 1983 Yamaha 225DX that I just swapped the engine from a Timberwolf in. Now she's definitely missing a few parts, but we're going to go see if I can find some. Well, that's good. I found my seat. The cushion's actually in pretty good shape. I just need a new cover for that. There's a fender not in great shape. That one's a little better, but it's black. I found the front headlight assembly. I was wondering if this went to the 225, and it definitely does, because as you can see, the 200 doesn't have these little side vent things. I found these two front fenders. They both go to a Yamaha. They are both the same thing. Looks like the mud flap's a little longer on this one than that one, but I think they would both bolt up. This one's the right color, but it's in pretty rough shape. This one's obviously black, but should be better than nothing. It might not look great, but it's functional now. Still gonna have to find a headlight here. The front shocks are actually good. I need the bearings and the bolt for this triple tree. And I'm still missing the rear grab bar. And also, I noticed this thing needs shocks very badly. She's a little bouncy. But hey, at least she's drivable now, and I can have fun on it. I am soaked. I'm going inside.